this week's episode was a fantastic Deep Space Nine, but we always want to share some story or some lesson that we've learned during the past week as we are dads to two young children, or I should say, to three young children, because Shoff has two and I have one. And Shoff, what was your boldly dadding moment of this week?
So I have a couple. I'm trying to get to them through them quickly because I do have a couple. But the first thing is just the message I want to give out to other dads and even moms out there. Star Trek moms just as important as Star Trek dads. But you got to find time for you. This past week has been a bit of a challenge for me and for my wife. Our kids have been really high maintenance, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just a matter of fact thing. Like this past week, they've both been very emotional, very needy, very clingy. And I mean, they're 2 and 5 months old. So I mean, yes, that's normal. I'm not, so stupid that I don't know that. But it's really important that you can fill your own cup at the end of the day with the things that you need to do for you, the things that bring you joy, because you need to be able to have that moment to reset so that you're ready for the next day and whatever comes at you. So finding time for you is really important. So whatever that means, for me, it means eating the occasional edible and building some Lego sets. It means reading comic books before bed. It means watching more of my favorite shows. It means spending time with my wife. It means playing board games with her. It means, just getting a chance to decompress. So whatever that means for you, you got to find time at the end of the day for it, because that's just another way to ensure that you're your best for your kids.
And that, I think, is also part of our larger segment from last week where we talked about the the things that, or it might have been 2 weeks ago, Shuff, taking care of yourself, putting your oxygen mask on first
Yep.
before securing your child's. So yeah, I'm glad that is a lesson that we can give to our listeners or to our viewers. Definitely, I 100% agree with that. And in my own life, that's something that I'm trying to be as organized as possible, making sure I have time for the things that are my responsibilities and also things that I enjoy. So those two things juggling, I would not be where I'm at without the help of Google Calendar. That is 100% my go-to tool as far as scheduling, but just being on time and then being present for those moments when I'm with my son as well. And you
That's
had another one, Shaw?
Oh yeah, just a couple of quick things. Yeah. So last night, while I was cooking dinner, I was making some delicious gourmet mac and cheese. The only way to make it, by the way, which is you take the box, and I think about this. Anybody who's just making mac and cheese by taking the box and that's it, no, don't ever do that again. What you got to do is you got to fry up some tofu. You got to steam some veggies, mixed veggies. You got to take some Lowry's seasoned salt, garlic powder, thyme, salt, pepper, and panko breadcrumbs.
Ooh,
And you mix all that together in the midst, in addition to your mac and cheese. And that's how you get delicious mac and cheese. But, anyways, I was
nice.
making mac and cheese. My daughter Emily, who's 2, she's the one who has been really high maintenance and needs lots of attention. And when you're cooking, you don't really have the opportunity to give the attention to your child that you need to. So you have to kind of give them something to entertain themselves while you're doing that. So I gave her. She has this Montessori sink, and it lets her feel like she's washing dishes, and gives that sense of being a helper. And so she has her own little tiny dishes, and there's no soap or anything, but it's like the thing is totally automated, doesn't require water to be flowing into it because it's like a recycling system. So you put a little bit of water in, it goes through the faucet, and then it goes into the drain, and it goes back into the faucet. So it's just like it lets her continue like the water flow without wasting water, which is awesome.
Ah,
So it's really cool. But we got that for her, and so she likes to play with that while we're cooking. But she has been trying to wash other things. So she had her snacks next to her. and she grabbed her snacks, which were little cashews and almonds, and she started washing them underneath the sink. And she was washing them, and then she put them in her mouth, and she would look at me and she goes, "Yummy, yummy, yummy, yummy nucks," as she calls them instead of nuts. Yummy nucks. And so I was like, I said out loud to her, I was like, "Emily, don't wash your nuts." And then I thought to myself, I was like, I cannot believe. I was like, things I never thought I'd have to say to my daughter. Emily, stop washing your nuts. so so that happened, and I thought that was really funny. I said to myself, I'm like, I got to mention this in the podcast. That is a phrase that is the weirdest phrase to say out loud. And then this morning we went to Starbucks, and she really was excited because she gets egg bites. Whenever we go to Starbucks drive
Ooh,
through, she
yes.
gets kale mushroom egg bites, and she loves them.
Nice.
But it was going to be like they were hot, and so she had to wait for them to cool. And while we were driving back to the house with them, I was telling her, I was like, you need to be patient. You need to be patient. And I had gotten her this book. It's a Spider-Man book, and it's got Black Panther in it. And it's the book's message is about waiting patiently. And Doc Ock is the villain. It's one of those like Spidey and Friends, like the
Oh, yeah.
cartoon series that's on
Mhm.
Disney Plus.
Yes.
And so the message of the book is you have to be patient because that there's benefit to that. Anyways, so she knows that if I say wait, you have to wait patiently, she immediately associates it with that book. And so her response to me was, and I quote, "Dada, all night long, Doc Ock book me read." Which basically means that she likes when I read that book to her at night. So she's just so cute, and she's stringing so many words together and just talking a ton. So I'm just very proud of her, and it's amazing how much she comprehends. And so the message with that is never underestimate how much your kids are absorbing and picking up on, because she made that association on her own and learned the lesson of patience from a book about Spider-Man and Black Panther. So, the importance of reading, the importance of being intentional with what you say, because they are listening and they
Hmm.
are absorbing and they will pick it up, and that those associations stick. So just make them count is what I would like to say about that.
And I actually had a moment of that specific, not knowing that my son was paying attention to something and sinking it in. And I sent this to Shoff. I was watching Rick and Morty, an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick and Morty had both been doing 1,000 crunches or a million crunches. So they wanted to show off their washboard abs. So they were walking around with what looked like crop top shirts and their abs exposed. And I look over at my son, and he's got his shirt up where he had pulled his shirt up to expose his abs. And I was like, what is he doing? I didn't even put two and two together. And then I realized because the scene had gone off on
He's
Rick and
like
Morty, like
slapping him. He's like, yeah.
yeah, he was slapping his abs, which Morty had been doing earlier in the episode, but I didn't even think about it. But he had picked up on that, and it just amazed me. He's done the same thing with my podcasting microphone, where I will bring him close to the microphone, and he'll just start talking like ba 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 ba. So he's already trying to podcast, and I hadn't shown him, so I can't even remember where he had seen me doing it, but he has picked up on a lot of stuff. So, like you said, you never know what they're going to take in or what they're going to be exposed to. So definitely make sure you're not exposing them to the wrong things.
It's true.
But I 100% learned that lesson this week. And another lesson that I learned specifically this week when I was looking at, I have a digital photo slideshow that runs on my Google Home,
Oh,
and it
nice.
shows you, oh, this would happen a year ago, or this would happen a couple months ago. And so it'll show a side by side of my son, which is most of my pictures. And just in a couple months' time, the changes in him. Now we experience it, as it's going day by day. The
Right.
changes are so slow, we're not noticing it. But you look back, a year has gone by, 2 years have gone by, and you don't realize, oh, he's not going to be the same way forever. Now we have that in the back of our minds, of course. Oh, I know he's going to grow up and become a man one day, or a woman. But when we're experiencing it day to day, that's not something that we're thinking about. So that has caused me to say, these moments that are happening, you're not going to be able to get them back.
True.
And you should really cherish the time that you have. And I try to do that in all aspects of my life, with all family members, with my mom, my dad, my wife, my son. You're just not, you, the only constant in life is change. So you can never get too used to something being the same way. Oh, it's always going to be this way. No, you're not going to always live in this place. You're not going to always experience the same things over and over again. So I've learned to cherish those times and those moments that I have with my son, because he's not going to be the same person when he's 1 year old as when he's 5 year old, as when he's 10 years old. And he, sooner or later, he's not going to want to spend time with me. So yeah, just that's been my moment this week, to just kind of take in that my son is of the age right now where he enjoys my company and he wants to be around me. So just kind of take those moments as they come, and
Yeah.
hold on to them as best I can.
You've got a young podcast co-host in the making. That would be so much fun if you did a podcast down the road when he's talking, and I don't he doesn't have to be like articulate, but just like he's able to like share what's on his mind as a kid. I mean, you're only a couple years away from that, and that would be super fun as a dad to have a podcast like that. So that'd be really
Yeah.
cool.